Well, I haven't done a walkabout in a little while, so I thought I would show you some updates on some things that are going on out here and some subtle changes that I've made. You may notice in the distance that the large table that I had there with all of those myrtle topiaries, on it has now been moved, and I'm trying to declutter things a little bit and get some stuff ready for fall. Yesterday we did some shooting out here and it was just incredibly humid and we even got a little bit of rain later in the afternoon. So as soon as I get a chance, I am going to tackle pruning this boxwood ball here that is underneath the profile, the metal profile of this Jardin. I believe it's a Jardin birdcage. It's from Gardener Supply. I love it. So I'll have to remove that and prune that up. And then I've just assembled some plants over here, and you'll notice that things are starting with the slightly cooler temperatures and the rains we've had. Things are starting to bloom again. Those whites are coming out, and I've still got some. I'm trying to move a lot of my small pots and consolidate them. I think I told you that a little bit earlier. This area I have transformed a little bit, moved some of the small pots, kind of rearranged some things, and trying to reestablish, now that things are blooming again, that coral color throughout the garden. And to the back, that noisette rose in the distance is starting to bloom again. And this area that I worked on yesterday, if any of you watched me, I pruned up this Wegeila, and I've still got to finish out this whole area. There's some small pots that I need to move, but I wanted to show you a couple of things based on some people's comments. Deborah pointed out very, very appropriately, and in fact, when I went back and watched the video myself, I realized that in between cutting back the golden feverfew that had spider mite on it, that I didn't disinfect my pruners. And she was so right, and I noticed the same thing when I went back. I just forgot. I guess I had my mind on just doing the video. Fortunately, as I told her, Wegeila is not prone to spider mite. Now, someone else noted, they hoped I was going to come back and cut out these stumps and studs that are projecting off of the trunk of the shrub. And yes, I will do that. I need some more substantial pruners to do that. And quite frankly, yesterday it just got so hot and humid and then started to rain, so I had to postpone cleaning up the rest of this. But I'm going to. There's a Gertrude Jekyll rose in the background that I need to prune on some, and there are, you can see, some dead wisteria branches and things that need to be removed. This whole area just needs a good tidy up and a rework, and I am going to do that as soon as I can. So it's looking maybe a little bit messy. And then Hubs today is going to be my gopher, and he's going to go get some of the landscape mix I like so much and some bags of gravel, and I'll hopefully get this whole area reworked so I can show it to you all tidied up and pretty. Now, yesterday, the video that we worked on, and you can't really tell just how beautiful and dramatic it was, because all of this purslane that we planted beneath these sunshine ligustrums, these flowers come and go on purslane. So when the sun comes out a little bit later, there will just be a huge pronounced explosion of this kind of corally orange that is the perfect accompaniment to the kind of fiery oranges that are back in the potager. And I reworked and kind of rearranged this area with the potted plants, and I took away lots of the smaller rosemaries and positioned them in the back. And now that it's cooling down some, I'll finish the pruning back here in the potager and actually do some planting. Work is never done, and I've had a lot of other projects on LVTV going on. And if you haven't subscribed, we would love to have you join us. It's quite the fun group in Facebook. And yesterday, I also answered some questions in that video about snakes in my garden. And one of the things I do on LVTV is send out a daily newsletter with fun links and things like that. So this area is also, I've showed it to you a million times, but it is just finally getting to the point where I'm extremely happy with it. I pruned up this vitex a little bit more. I have done that for you in the past. There are 2 boxwood cones that also need some clipping, so now that it's cooling down, I will probably do that. This area gets pretty sunshine in the morning before it then goes back into shade, and all of these blue grays come out. I'm starting to think of this more and more as my Mediterranean garden. And then in the back, let me get out of this strong sunlight. In the back you can see that I have repositioned a lot of my rosemaries, and I'm getting ready to do a video on just pruning the rosemaries. So I've got some other things that are going on back here. There is the other boxwood cone that I need to prune and reestablish its shape, but this is south facing, so I wanted to wait till it got a little bit cooler. Some of the boxwood hedge in the potager is in a little bit more shade, so I can be less concerned about it getting scorched, the new foliage getting scorched, because it is in more shade. Now I have lots of peppers to harvest, and on my agenda this week, as promised, I am going to make some poblano cream sauce. Don't you love the color of marigolds? I love marigolds. In fact, when I went to see the very famous garden of Rosemary Very at Barnsley House, it was very sweet. She just had some tiny little pots of marigolds just sitting around. Nothing was too humble, even for a great garden doyenne like Rosemary Very. As kind of a little heads up, I am going to be on lindaVater.com. I'm going to be writing a blog post and also starting a list of my most inspirational garden books, and I'll put them in kind of a garden library for you with links so you can find them too. And then on LVTV, I'm going to be going through my library and culling out some that I have multiple copies of, or that I think it's time that they be put in the hands of someone else, some new gardeners. All the grays are just really looking pretty. And yes, as fall approaches, there will be much more color. You can see from here that the Wegeila there's a lot more room underneath it now, a lot more air circulation. And hopefully today, if it's not too hot, I'll be able to finish that task. Or I might just wait until Hubs comes back with all of the mulch that I need and then do it in one fell swoop. all of the golds in the golden barberry and things look very, very pretty right now, and they will take on a more intense, strident color as fall approaches. A lot of oranges. Barberry is a very underappreciated plant, I think. Another southern living plant that I really like is the orange rocket barberry. And what I've just done over here, these are the sunshine ligustrum pots that I just planted with lots of that orange purslane at the bottom, and I'll try to remember to put the meditative pruning video that I did on this sunshine ligustrum, where I limbed it up and kind of bonsai'd it like I like to do. But what I wanted to show you is behind it, you can see some barberry there, and that is orange rocket, and I have cut some of it in the back down pretty hard because I want it to flush out with new growth, and I think it will be really beautiful behind this purslane for a fall vignette. So I am very much liking the way this is turning out. Someone commented that my garden was certainly not low maintenance, and no, it's not, though I have to say it could be. Part of the reason it's more high maintenance is because these are the things that I like to do. This is my hobby, and I have a lot of potted plants. If I didn't have lots of potted plants, it wouldn't be so high maintenance. I have lots of evergreens, so there's great structure, and it's partly high maintenance because I want it to be, but it would not have to be. The future steward of this garden could easily make it far less high maintenance and labor intensive. And every year, believe it or not, I do incorporate new elements that make it easier to take care of. So there is your Monday morning walkabout. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get everything in up to my standards of garden tour perfection, because when I do, we're going to have a nighttime garden tour that Stuart and I will do for you. So have a wonderful Monday all. Stay safe and stay well.